to the product placement podcast where the name has nothing to do with it. I'm Noah.
And I'm Brandon.
And today we're going to be talking about a bunch of bullshit. Just a whole fuck ton of news.
Of course.
And other garbage that we feel is not important enough to be talked about by, like, famous people, but just good enough to be talked about by us. And then also we're going to be doing a bit of a retrospective on The Witcher 3, seeing how it's held up and kind of seeing how that leads into Cyberpunk 2077,
As
which the 48-minute gameplay demo came out yesterday.
Just yesterday.
Yeah, we did a reaction to that we'll be uploading onto wherever this is also uploaded just after this episode goes up. So go and check that out if it's up. If it's not, then sorry. Alright, so we're going to talk about episode 9 first. So, what did you think of, hot take here, because the internet is lit on fire when people talk about this, The Last Jedi?
Okay, so I have yet to see The Last Jedi. I've only seen... No. I have seen bits and pieces of it.
We're so prepared.
I wasn't going to go home and watch The Last Jedi. I refuse to do that. Everything I've seen about it has just been so bad, and I've seen clips from it and everything, and, well, honestly, I have not been as interested in Star Wars as I was younger, but Rogue One was probably one of the better ones, and The Force Awakens was alright, but it felt just kind of like a rehash of A New Hope.
Yes, that's the the hot scoop from back when everyone started turning on The Force Awakens, which it is kind of a carbon copy, but that's kind of the point. The point was to get people back into what Star Wars feels like, and then, make something different of it. And while they did make something different of it, I don't feel like it was at all in, like, the best interests of the franchise. And I don't want to sound like a 40-year-old sweaty fanboy, because I'm not. I'm a stupid... Thanks. I'm a 17-year-old who grew up liking the prequels more than I did the original trilogy.
How dare you?
I was dumb.
You're evil.
Well, everyone did, because they had General Grievous. And
Okay.
Hello there.
You're right. General Grievous did.
And, like,
did
Darth,
sell that.
they just... Because you're stupid when you're young, and you see 36 lightsabers on screen fighting a bunch of, like, bugs and droids in a movie where a guy talks about how he doesn't like sand, and you're just like, that's a good movie.
Yeah, it was not bad.
I mean, now it's...
Well, okay. It was
like
good for the
sand.
time, and I still enjoy going back and rewatching it. Just because
Don't
I
lie
like...
to yourself, Brandon.
I am not lying to myself. I think it's a decent movie. Because I enjoy the fight scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan.
That's the third one, Brandon.
That's what we're talking about.
No, I'm talking about the second one. I was vague posting about the second one with the big arena battle where all the Jedi show up.
Oh, I wasn't talking about that.
And Jango Fett dies.
I'm talking about the third one.
The third one is good. Because, like, you get to see General Grievous do some dumb shit.
Yeah.
But now, like, they are objectively, like, not good films. Even if the third one is still, like, fun to watch and it has some fulfilling moments, I probably won't watch The Phantom Menace for a long time unless I get together with a bunch of friends and watch, like, all of them straight through. But, yeah, I have no more reverence for the prequels except for maybe, like, some of the fight scenes.
Yeah, they were all really well made.
They're well made, but they're not well acted or directed, really.
They were heavily reliant on CGI too, which
to a bad degree. Like,
yeah,
they have a lot of, like, CGI zoom-in shots where they weren't zooming the camera. It's just a big shot, and they're just, like, cutting from this big shot. They're just kind of, like, closing the frame down. Mm-hmm. Like, if you were, like, cropping a picture, that's what they're doing.
I mean, for the time, everyone was kind of using CGI like crazy because, it was the...
But the problem with the prequels is that, like, they have on screen at the same time some of the best and worst CGI I've ever seen.
Unbelievably.
Okay, so there are shots in Attack of the Clones like some of the shots of Coruscant, like the main big city planet, where it looks gorgeous, and then there will be like an alien character on the screen driving a car that looks like something out of like a PS3 game.
Yeah.
It's just like janking around there, and it's like, how many studios worked on the CGI for this movie?
Too many, but well, going back to the Force Awakens and everything, I think one of the things that the Force Awakens did was catch the eye in the sense that everything looked really good.
Yeah,
that was one of the
Abrams knows how to shoot stuff. Like, he knows how to move a camera around. He knows how to put in little things from the original trilogy where you're like, I recognize that. I get the reference.
Well, I really enjoyed the small details. Like, one of the small details that it's stupid to really notice is when Kylo Ren and Rey were fighting in the woods. And that snowy scene, which was probably my favorite scene just because it looked so good, is when you looked into the reflection of their eyes, you could see the lightsabers clashing, but not only that, but they were purple in their eyes. The reflection, because the blue and red were hitting, it gave off a slight purple glow to their eyes. And I just thought that was really weird attention to detail that I really enjoyed.
I mean, they're going to do, like, a bunch of weird kind of editing stuff to really add color, but I think that is kind of a J.J. Abrams staple of, like, you know, he really likes messing with light. We've gone off on a tangent about J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
So, I did not like The Last Jedi, and it's not because I'm a sweaty fanboy man. I am sweaty, and I am a fan, but I don't have as much reverence for the Star Wars franchise as a whole, but I just don't think The Last Jedi was, like, a good movie. It's well directed, but it's not, like, it looks good, shots are beautiful, but, like, the storyline does not make any sense. It's similar to Attack of the Clones in that, like, it is all predicated on, like, certain things happening.
That, like,
in Attack of the Clones, it's all predicated on the fact that they get lucky after the weirdo shapeshifter person gets shot in the neck by Jango Fett, and Obi-Wan just happens to know a guy who knows exactly what this little dart is in his little 50s diner.
To the whole
and
massive thing
that leads him over to Kamino, where for some reason he finds out that the Kaminoan cloners are making clones for the Republic, and he's like, a clone army. And then Anakin and Padme are going off to Tatooine because his mom's not safe. I've been having dreams about my mom.
I'm edgy.
And then he goes there and he slaughters, like, children way before it was cool for him to slaughter children.
I don't think it was ever deemed cool.
He probably thought it was cool.
He thought it was cool, you're right.
He took little trophies.
Oh my god.
He has a little trophy room where it's like, these are all the children I killed. Anakin was a bad person.
Anakin was a very bad person.
I don't know why they gave him a redemption. I don't know what George Lucas was thinking when he was like, yeah, you know, this guy's so bad. You could have just had him kill a bunch of Jedi and that would have been, like, the noble thing. But, like, he goes into a room, looks them dead in the eyes, and they're like,
they're terrified.
They're like, please help us. There's too many. And he's just like,
yellow eyes.
Yeah. I'm going to have to edit all this out. Make this cohesive. But essentially, there have, like, been set pictures for Episode 9 that came out. I'm trying to find them. Have you seen them?
I have not.
Okay.
While you're finding those, one thing that I can't acknowledge that the best thing that ever came out of Star Wars was the Lego games.
No.
Yes.
No.
How are the Lego games not good?
They are incredible, but there are better. There's one better. I'd say there's 3 better Star Wars video games.
Force Unleashed?
No.
I love
Original Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Republic Commando.
No.
No?
No. I would say Jedi Academy.
Jedi Academy.
Jedi Academy.
Did you ever play the one where you played as Boba Fett? I think it was just called like Star Wars Bounty Hunter.
I have that on the PS4. Because I got the special new Battlefront 1 edition PS4 that has Darth Vader's big face on it, and it came with like 4 remastered PlayStation 2 era Star Wars games, and all of them are shit.
Oh.
Well, the Jango Fett one is one of them, and that one has like a fun story, but it's just not a fun game to play.
Me and my friend enjoyed it. We just went around kind of like blowtorching everyone with the rocket-mounted flamethrower, rocket-mounted, wrist-mounted flamethrower.
Abso 9 set photos.
But yeah, I loved the Force Unleashed games because I was a stupid kid.
They're fun games to play, but
you know what's the best thing? What? I played I played both of them on the Wii. You know what's weird? They have different stories like on the Wii versus consoles, or it seemed like it at least. But it's been several years since I've played them. But I was replaying the Force Unleashed on my Xbox, and I was like, "What is happening here?" I'm like, I don't remember this beginning scene whatsoever.
Well, okay, so set photo wise,
sorry, tangent.
We're gonna run this thing for 8 hours.
Hey,
basically,
Star Wars.
Basically, you see Mr. Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac, and he's looking all swashbuckly. He's got like a bandage on his arm or something.
It looks like they were trying to do Han Solo type clothing.
But also kind of like Rocketeer-ish, like the high boots, the kind of airman's trousers, the weird like double-breasted shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Finn looks like he's in like a bit of a western, like blue jeans, vest. He's got his hair grown out. They're on like this ridge side, which people are pretty sure it's like right outside the Pinewood Studios, which is this massive multiplex studio where they film all of the set stuff for the new Star Wars movies. And there's another shot of it. You can't see the horses very well. There's these people up on this ridge, and this one new actress, I can't remember her name, but she was added to the cast list a little while back. She kind of looks like female Lando with like the cape and the yellow shirt. But I assume she's probably going to be like a sort of a scavenger type character, or like a weird mercenary group.
Most
likely. These horses back here, they're all furry and stuff and have like really long like mangy hair on them. But when you get up to the head, it's just the horse's head, but with like CGI markers on it, like orange CGI markers. So I have faith that they can make like a decent CGI looking head. Yeah. If the rest of the body is just like a real thing.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm trying to find one. There is one shot of like that same hill where you can see Chewbacca in the background, and he looks like so sad and old.
Oh.
He looks like so dumpy and just disgusted with being there.
Well, I mean, can you blame him?
Yeah, I mean, like his best friend died. He got to.
He watched him die, also.
Yeah, he like cried out in pain as he died. Yeah, I have faith in J.J. Abrams to make a decent movie. I don't know how, after all of this is done, these movies are going to fit together in any way.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like there's any clear path in between these movies. There are characters that exist and go between them, but from what it sounds like, there's going to be a time jump. They're going to have to figure out a way to put Leia in, because Leia's going to be in the movie.
Is she really?
Yes, they're using old footage of her, like unused footage, and they're gonna try and edit around that to make it look like she's there.
That'll be interesting to see.
And I wonder if they're gonna like have a scene where she's killed off.
It would probably be the smarter idea, but
probably
they'd have to find a way to do it respectfully.
There's really no way to do it respectfully. I thought they were doing it in The Last Jedi, and it was like the closest thing you could get to where like it was emotional enough, because there's a scene in The Last Jedi where she's on the bridge of their main ship, because this whole movie is just a chase scene between their main ship and the whole like First Order fleet.
Yeah.
Where she is on the bridge and Kylo is about to fire a missile at the bridge, and he hesitates for a second and he decides not to do it, and his two wingmen are flying next to him and he pulls off, but right before he pulls off, one of the wingmen fires his missiles directly at it, and it just cuts to this like shot where she kind of like looks up and realizes, and the bridge gets just blown out into space, and it was like dead silent once it happened, and I was like, oh
boy.
But then that leads into one of the most beleaguered scenes in the whole movie, is when they cut to the outside of the ship and you see Leia like floating there, and they play like the Han Solo and the Princess theme, and but then her eyes open up and her hand starts moving and she Mary Poppins her way through space to the bridge, and lands at the door, and everyone is like looking out the window and they're like, "This woman is flying," and they go running down to the door that she's flown back towards to let her in.
That sounds like I will watch The Last Jedi at some point. That already deters me away from it more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything I'd seen about it had been so negative, and I had not heard really from anyone that it was like, it's okay. I just heard it was like it's bad.
Mm-hmm. All right, now we're gonna rapid fire through some news.
Right.
Have you seen any of the newer Star Trek movies?
I've never been a fan of Star Trek.
Okay, basically in the 2009 Star Trek, also directed by J.J. Abrams, Kirk is played by Chris Pine,
yes,
who is now Steve Trevor in the Wonder Woman movies. He's the main dude in those.
Oh, yeah.
He was playing Captain Kirk in that, and his dad was played by Chris Hemsworth, Thor, for like a 5-minute scene. And they were going to have the fourth movie in this series be about, like, Kirk and his dad. Like, somehow his dad is back, and have, like, a bunch of stuff between him. Because there's been a lot of through lines where, in this series, that hasn't had a lot of high moments, but one of the few good things that they've had is, like, you know, Kirk's dad is, like, the legacy of Kirk's dad weighs on Jim Kirk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'll never live up to the sort of, you know, captainship that my dad did. So having a movie between the two of them would be really cool.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Turns out this week a report comes out that both of them have declined to renew their contracts for the Star Trek movies, and they're having to renegotiate with basically all the cast because they all had 3-movie contracts and they've already done that. So they had a full script written for this Kirk and Dad Kirk movie, and now there's no Dad Kirk or regular James Kirk.
You think they'll just recast and have to work around that? Or?
I don't know if they'll do that or if they'll have to pay him, because basically they've both gone on to superhero franchises that are making them way bigger money. Even though Chris Pine is like a side character.
I thought Hemsworth's contract with Marvel ended after this movie.
It might, but I'm pretty sure they're going to get him on for more after the success of Thor Ragnarok. They're probably gonna not like tie him down and get Taika Waititi back, and probably move on with more Thor movies. Because I really enjoyed Thor Ragnarok, and I would like to see more of Thor just being a goofy space dude, because that's the best Thor has been. But yeah, that just means that this Star Trek series now has no main character, and a lot of the other like secondary characters are in negotiation and might not come back.
That's gonna really harm them. Well, not the actors, but the production. The
production of the movie is like utterly fucked right now. They are in hot shit from everything that's come out about it, because they have to scramble now because they have deadlines for when the way that the rights have worked for these new Star Trek movies, if they don't make another movie in a certain amount of time, it'll go back to, I don't know, I think it's the TV, I think it's CBS. CBS owns Star Trek, and they were relinquishing the rights to a movie company to make it a little bit, which is why CBS is still making their own Star Trek show on their platform, which is actually kind of good. But if they don't make this movie in enough time, then the rights are going to go back to CBS fully, and Paramount will be out like one of their bigger franchises.
Yeah, that would. I honestly don't know what they could do there, because if the actors don't want to do it, then there's nothing keeping them there.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
All right. Next.
I have one.
Say.
So I just saw some news yesterday. Tom Hardy is confirmed for 2 more Venom movies after this one that comes out this October.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm really excited for Venom. You know that. People should know that. I want it to be good. I know it probably won't be that great. I just want to see Venom on the big screen with more time. And why is that funny?
I'm dying over here for the 6 people listening.
True.
I am sitting over here laughing because I want this movie to bomb miserably.
There's
I want
no
it
reason
to die.
Tom Hardy's a good actor, and it's a good, like, Venom's cool.
If this were in the MCU,
I
would 100% agree. But as
they're trying to build their own Venomverse. That's what they said.
This is a Sony-owned garbage dumpster fire where they've been boasting the fact it's like, we have access to 900 Marvel characters. It sounded like a threat. Like, they're like, hey, Marvel, just so you know, we have 900 of your characters still in our rights. Just because we gave you Spider-Man and a couple of villains, we can still ruin this brand.
I don't know.
The design looks fine for Venom.
Yeah.
I feel like the fights between him and the other guy, which I think is the symbiote Riot, I feel like they're just going to be big blob messes that don't make any
CGI
sense.
just...
Because there's a shot in the trailer where it's like the Riot is like ripping Tom Hardy out of the Venom suit, but Riz Ahmed, the guy who's inside of it, is like, he's playing like a guy named Carlton Drake. He's popped out of his too. So there's like these 2 guys just floating there, like T-posing in these giant blob masses that have like weird snaggletooth faces and like size, just in this giant vortex of goo.
Yeah,
Tom Hardy's Venom likes to vor, confirmed. I don't know how they're gonna get around the PG-13 or R rating debacle when you literally have like this guy like voring people, like he's just gobbling up like people's faces. They said at Comic-Con that like he actually eats the guy's head.
Yeah. So I assume it would have to be R.
But
rated R.
They've said that they want to keep it PG-13 so that it can fit in with the MCU, and I'm like, cowards. Make it R-rated and then demand they put it in. If you're going to do an R-rated movie and try to also have it in the MCU, do the R-rated movie. Like,
it could be one of the best things. I mean, like, Deadpool...
You might not have another chance to do this, Sony. If this bombs, you probably won't try to take the Spider-Man rights back from Marvel.
They won't even be able to.
To make their own thing. Well, they could, because they still technically own it. Well, they're just relinquished over, but the deal has been working out so well for them with Marvel.
Exactly. You think anyone would want to go see something if they just kind of ripped it away from them and nothing's successful? If the Venom movie bombs and then they still take back Spider-Man and jam him into whatever they want, how well do you think that'll be?
Probably not good.
Yeah.
Like, I want movies to be good.
Right.
I'm not over here rooting for. I mean, I kind of.
Yeah, you're rooting for Venom's death.
I want Venom to be a good movie. The ultimate goal is Venom is a good movie that doesn't make enough money for them to want to continue.
Yeah.
Because that means that there is a good movie that exists about Venom that didn't make quite enough money for it to continue. Because I feel if Venom makes a whole bunch of money, then they will feel an incentive to try and like barter with Marvel. Either let us put all our stuff in your universe, or we're taking Spider-Man back, and we get to keep Tom Holland and stuff. So you get to figure out how to deal with the fact that Spider-Man is just disappearing into like, out of your universe forever, but the movies that we've made about him still connect. It'd be like if they had a big event comic. And then, because they've done this a couple times, I can't remember with what, where they have a big event comic, and then they split it off into 2 lines where this is what happened if this event had gone one way, and this is what happens if it had gone the other. And they have these 2 comics running at like the same time. That's what would happen if Sony like took the rights back, because you would have Sony's competing like Spider-Man movie verse with the MCU's like established 20 movies in universe that includes in both of them the same 2 Spider-Man movies.
Right.
It's fucking weird.
The only thing that we'll be able to define what's going to happen is when it comes out, and so there's not much else we can do about that. But
no.
What's your next news blurb?
I don't have one. You want to talk about Battlefield 5?
There's not much to talk. I was looking up some stuff last night, and there isn't much still that's being talked about. It's just people are still mad. Pre-orders are down 85% compared to Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And it's all because the EA's if you don't like it, then don't play it statement or something like that. Because people were mad about the woman being in the trailer, which I didn't really mind. I'm just like, it's a Battlefield game. I'm like, I have always liked Battlefields, and I'm still gonna get it. I'm gonna play it. I don't like EA.
They started one of their mainline Battlefield games with Total Eclipse of the Heart playing as 4 guys were about to drown in a truck. I don't care if you put a woman in World War II at this point.
Exactly.
You had guys like freaking out about whether or not to shoot the glass to get out of this truck as Total Eclipse of the Heart plays in the background.
Oh man, I don't want to die to this song.
And I need you more than ever. Oh, fair use.
Oh no.
I'm gonna copyright strike.
Oh no.
But I'm really done with for a lot of first person shooters. Even though I did watch the Cyberpunk gameplay and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Addendum to our, talks about Cyberpunk, which you can go and find on our channel if we've uploaded it wherever. The customization in that demo.
In Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looks incredible.
It does. Yeah, it looks like you can manage everything. I really hope you're gonna be able to make playthroughs where you just have these super obese. I didn't see body type.
I want to be a fat person.
I want to be a fat guy with weird hairstyles and a unhinged robo jaw.
We're really hooked on these unhinged jaws, guys. You'll hear a lot about it. But it's a first person game.
I'm fine with that because.
But the customization with the first person
kind of defeats the purpose.
A little bit.
Right.
I've created this super cool character, and I've spent 8 hours, designing their eyeballs, and I can't see that.
Okay.
If you can walk around in third person in houses or inside places, maybe.
I'm fine with that.
And if they're third person cutscenes, then that'll be fine.
Okay, so I saw something yesterday. I was just browsing through YouTube late at night, looking stuff at Cyberpunk. And I saw a YouTuber mention something about Cyberpunk in multiplayer, and I'm not happy for that. And I really hope it's not true. It was from I think Open World Games or something like that, or someone of that kind of thing. And let me see, because I don't want to say that it has multiplayer. There's
the problem with it is that I think it would be an incredible multiplayer experience. This world looks like a fun world to have a multiplayer experience in. If you can do the sort of heists and side missions and stuff, but with a couple buddies, that seems fun. But of course there are always the pitfalls of having a multiplayer game that would probably plague it. So if they don't go for a multiplayer option, I would understand, but this is one of the few games where I'm looking at it and I'm like, I want multiplayer or some sort of multiplayer for it.
Like a small co-op thing.
Yeah. Maybe if it were GTA 5-ish, but not as
I wouldn't want it that big.
Not as hacked and stuff and awful. Although you're literally hacking in the game.
Yeah.
But if you could get together a squad of four people, 4 people could join up together in a server, kind of Watchdog-ish, where they can pop into your game.
Yeah, that would be fun.
And you can just run around and do some stuff together. That'd be cool.
I just saw an interview with someone from Eurogamer. They were talking to him, and they said when the game first releases, it will be a strictly single player game. When it first that's what they put the emphasis on, when it first releases. So there's no confirmation, but the way they worded that interview, they are it seems like they were implying that there could be something down
Clear
the
your
line.
throat. There you go.
Didn't realize that. It sounds like there could be. Something down the line. What did I sound?
You started getting really, really gravelly. It was just really But no, just from everything that has come out, they were also IGN. Those hacks got a hold of.
Got onto me. All right.
Double standards. But they released some concept images and some screenshots for Cyberpunk, and it's just more of stuff that looks really amazing. The concept,
naturally,
the stuff in the concept art looked better than the actual screenshots. So I don't know if that's going to be stuff that they'll put on. It's fine. It's just the screen.
Well, you were keeping track of it earlier, so I didn't know.
Yeah, it's good. I want it to be good. I want it to be so good because I think if it lives up to the hype at all, it'll probably be one of the biggest and most well remembered games of like this. Definitely like this console generation.
Yeah. I really like CD Projekt Red. I really trust them. Like they're one of the few companies that I've seen that have really stood their tests, I guess.
Yeah.
In a sense.
And they made The Witcher 3, and we're transitioning into talking about The Witcher 3.
We got so in depth into Cyberpunk again.
Well,
damn it.
It's a good transition because like it's CD Projekt Red. So we're gonna listeners, not viewers. We are gonna talk about The Witcher 3. Spoilers for a game that came out in like 2015. So I got the bad ending the first time I played The Witcher 3. And that made me really super depressed because I had spent like, I think at that point, probably about 126 hours in the game world just playing like so many side missions and stuff.
Right.
I actually did the Hearts of Stone expansion DLC.
I have not done the DLCs yet.
Before I even finished the mainline story. And so, having played through all of that and getting the ending where Ciri disappears, Geralt goes to the crones of Crookback Bog and kills them, and then just sits in a hut as a bunch of like monsters run in on him.
Yep.
It was ballsy. It's the kind of ending I would want in like my films and stuff, but it reminded me a lot of Shadow of the Colossus' ending, where really, and like Spec Ops: The Line. Have you played Spec Ops: The Line?
Yeah, I got to the white phosphorus part, and then I didn't want to play anymore for a while, and I had to give it back because I rented it.
I have a copy of it upstairs for PS3. Those games are games that like the endings and like the storylines made me feel like a terrible person.
Yeah.
And the bad ending to The Witcher 3 is the same kind of feel for an ending like that. The only problem is that game doesn't really have anything substantial, like choices that are really substantial, where it would make sense to get the bad, depressing ending, because my Geralt was not a bad human.
Yeah,
he was not a bad Witcher. I gave money back to people.
I didn't do that as much.
In my second playthroughs I didn't, but I gave money back to people if they needed it, stuff like that. I would help out any person like on the random side of the road.
Oh yeah, I always did that.
It fucked me over a couple times, but I would always try to help out random, NPCs that popped up, do side quests and stuff, solve things, go find loot and treasures and everything. So getting that ending made me feel like, oh, the game's just like flipping me off.
A little bit.
Thanks, game. The second time I played through it, I got the three-way ending with Triss and Yennefer, and I was like, this doesn't really fit either. But
it's
sure.
Geralt.
Anything
that lives, he will
Geralt
sleep with.
is like a 50-year-old fuck machine. He really like.
He is.
In my first playthrough, it felt weird because like I was trying to pursue both Yennefer and Triss, and I was really invested in those. But at the same time, I would like run over to the whorehouses and sleep with like. There was one time where, in the middle of my original playthrough, I went to every single available whorehouse in the entire world and slept with every single whore or strumpet in the game.
You're right.
And then I went back to the very next mission and was like, Yennefer was like, I've waited for you for so long, Geralt. And he's like, I kept you waiting, huh? I want to talk about how Geralt's voice is
the best.
It's good.
Yeah.
The guy who plays him is really funny, because he's really good at just being like ridiculously gruff, but he is a direct ripoff of Solid Snake. Like, every time I hear it, I'm just like, this is just a guy trying to be Solid Snake.
You're right, but I think I always liked Geralt and everything, and so it just fit him so well. The gruffness, even the likeness, just fit him so well because he was just this badass machine that would just kill anything.
I hate clean-shaven Geralt.
Yeah. Nope.
I don't like looking at the Witcher 1 and 2 versions of Geralt because he looks like a weird pretty boy, even though he's supposed to be like in his 40s or something. The Witcher 3's Geralt is like a legitimately badass looking character in the same way that like Hugh Jackman in Logan is like he's old, but he looks like the scariest thing you've ever seen.
See, I didn't even want to get rid of my armor in Witcher 3 at first, just because it just looked so good.
In my first playthrough, everything I got, I would put into a chest, and then I realized like, oh, I can sell this stuff and get money.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went back to my chest, and I had probably like close to 100 swords that were all worth like 1,000, 2,000 crowns or whatever, or orens or florins.
Whatever the money systems were.
Yeah. I did like that, where there were like different
yeah, and you
different
had to convert
currencies,
them.
and you had to run over to like Vivaldi Bank, like, how may I be of service to you? I'm like, I'd like to convert some coin.
Okay.
I never played Gwent. I never, ever, whenever the prompt would come up, I'd be like, fuck off. I don't want to play your stupid... I played it one time for one of the missions, and I was like, no, not happening. Not playing Gwent. It's dumb. I don't like it.
What's wrong with it?
It's contrived, and it doesn't add anything to the story.
It's just something people do. And
the only thing that you can do is Axeman McMidget. He asks you to go and get him his Gwent cards. And I did that, and then he was like, I'd like to play Gwent with you now. And I was like, no! And walked away, and just went off doing other stuff.
See, in my first playthrough, I played it a few times, and I suck at it. But I'm on my second playthrough, because I hadn't had it in a long time for console, and I got a PC, so I got it from my PC, so I'm on my second full playthrough. And going back to the Yennefer thing and all that, I've read the first novel, and I'm halfway through the second one, prequel, Sword of Destiny, which I believe is a prequel, because it leads up to Ciri and everything, and then you meet Ciri in the new one.
Brandon reads books, and
I'm a nerd.
And I read other books.
Yes. But going into the second playthrough, if you read these novels, you will not like Yennefer. She is terrible. She leaves Geralt and cheats on him with this grand wizard while they're living in this town together for a long time. And she's like, oh yeah, I slept with this wizard, by the way. And then they go to fight to the death, Geralt and the wizard. And Geralt is there, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, he looks defeated. He's like, I realize that Yennefer will never truly love me. And then the wizard's like, damn it, Geralt, I want you to try to kill me! And all this stuff. And like, Yennefer just been playing with their hearts the whole time. And she does all these terrible things where she always like tries to extort people, and she like would... And where Geralt first met her, Dandelion was dying. He had summoned this weird, I think it was kind of a genie-esque type thing in those times. I can't remember what it was called. And it had hurt him really bad. It had crushed him. And so Yennefer's like, I guess I'll help you, but I don't really care. And the only reason that they fell in love at first was because Geralt had an item, which was the lamp that held the thing. Mm-hmm. And then Yennefer wanted to steal it for her weird, magic. And so the thing would grant him a wish. And he's like, I want Yennefer to love me. And the book ends with them like, they're having sex in this rubble, and you hear Daniel like, oh my god, he must be in so much pain. Can you hear him? And they're going, and that's how it ends. And so
that's how a book ends.
Basically, it's great.
That's how like a fan fiction ends.
Yeah,
that's how like, Raven X Beast Boy.
Stop.
A love story.
Stop.
Where Cyborg walks past the room and he's like, I hope, sounds like someone's in trouble in there, and busts in. It's like, oh, booyah.
But, so I've like put Yennefer aside completely just because of the novels.
That brings like a new context to the scene where if you choose the right dialogue options, you can have sex with Yennefer on a horse in Skellige.
Nice.
Do you not remember this? Oh, yeah, because you probably avoided her in the actual game. No, yeah, if you choose her path and you go to Skellige to find her and you like try to fall in love with her,
right?
Then there is a scene where you have sex with her on a horse for some reason. Like,
because you're Geralt.
You're sitting on the horse. I mean, yeah, that's a very.
That's the only reasoning.
But the biggest problem I had with like the Witcher series as a whole is that I never understood why, like, so many characters would have, very Cockney accents. Like, oi, what are you doing here, Witcher? And then like Geralt would come in, and he's like, looking for an archgriffin, or like, we're here to pick up a contract, and then Triss would come in and it's like, Geralt, like there was very weird sort of cohesion with like where these people are from, and I get it, it's a fantasy world where you can like fight witches, but that always bothered me. Another thing that bothered me is that there's no fucking dragon in the game.
I was very mad by that because
there's not a dragon, and they hype it up in so many instances where they're like, got a dragon problem, Witcher.
Well, Geralt refuses to kill dragons.
Yes.
He respects them too much, and he's like, leave it to the other professionals.
But there wasn't even one that you could just go and see and be like, hi, Mr. Dragon, I'm Geralt. But it just, like, dragons exist.
Yeah.
This world is this big. Let me look at a dragon for once.
Yeah, I was really mad at that, especially on my second playthrough, because in the novel I read they met a golden dragon, and it was going to be a grand fight, but this traveler that he met, 3 jackdaws, also named Borch, he carried these weird non-English speaking hooker type things with him, women. He was actually
hooker type things, women.
I couldn't think.
Brandon.
I didn't mean that in that sense. Well, you know what I meant. And it turns out he was the dragon. He was able to convert himself into a human form, and then, like, he killed all the bad guys that was with Geralt who wanted to go kill the dragon. And he's like, I respect you.
Where's something like that in the game?
Exactly. I was so mad at that.
I get you like books, CD Projekt Red. You like basing stuff
Well, they didn't write the books.
They like basing stuff on books.
Yeah, they do.
Which is what Cyberpunk is, isn't it?
Cyberpunk is like a role-playing game, like Dungeons & Dragons.
Okay.
I thought it was a novel also. I ordered it, and I got it, and I was like, oh, this is a role-playing thing. I'm like, I have no idea how to use this.
Yeah. I never understood the necessity for, like, adrenaline points and, like, vitality.
No.
Because I remember looking at it at one point, and I was like, oh, it's at 4,470 something vitality. I guess I'm good. And then I looked at it after, like, probably about 100 hours of playing. I was like, it's at about 11,000 vitality.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I'll ever die ever.
I mean,
you say.
Well, I was gonna say you have to have something to upgrade, and health is always the most generic thing you got to upgrade, or vitality. And so you have to have something for people to keep grinding for. And so eventually people want to become this invincible badass, basically.
Can you make your health bar bigger in The Witcher 3?
You can. Well, your health improves like through armor and everything.
Okay, I was about to have like a mental breakdown if I were about to like find out that you could have upgraded your health bar, because I didn't do that.
I think you can, because
I don't think you can. I think you can just wear better armor and like eat fruit. My favorite thing is getting like absolutely piss drunk before a fight.
Yes.
Like some Everloose, just slamming like 40 of those, and then like traipsing Geralt into a fight. We talked about it while we were watching the Cyberpunk demo, but it needs to be restated. There is no reason for Geralt to not be able to hold swords. The only game mechanic that's dumber than not being able to hold swords because you're not
level locked weapons.
No, it's not that.
What?
It's in Sleeping Dogs where you don't have the good enough face level to wear a shirt.
Okay, that was pretty stupid.
Like your face level is not good. Like you have to get up to level 10 face to wear this button-up shirt that doesn't have the top button and has one side of it tucked in.
Boy,
it's like,
you're a cool dog, dude.
And it literally takes the whole game. Brandon.
You just caught that?
Oh, whew, okay.
Imagine in Cyberpunk, though, you'd have to, like, level up your street cred to go wear a cool shirt. I really hope that's not the case.
I mean, honestly, I feel like it would fit more in a 2077 Cyberpunk thing. Like, if there were, like, an integral, like, if the characters were like, hey, his cred's not up enough. Like, if you had, like, a little ticker that people could read, and it's like, my cred's here. Because it's a weird, you know, cyborg world.
Yeah.
Where it's like, my cred's here. And they're like, he can't wear my cool jacket then.
Well, I thought it could be something like that. You know, like, if you're wearing these weird clothes that are supposed to get you into a gang, but you have, like, no credibility, and they're like, oh, I don't trust this guy, you know, like, why is he wearing this stuff? Like I want something like that. Not like, you have to be street cred level 7 to go around anywhere and wear this.
Yeah.
I want you to be able to get into trouble by wearing something if you're in a different part of the city that, like, if you're wearing gang outfits from a separate part of a city, and then you go to the other side of Night City, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, hey, he's wearing those clothes. Let's mess him up.
Yeah, and, like, I get the importance of having stuff like that, especially in The Witcher.
Yeah.
It's, you know, you're trying to keep the player from becoming, like, an invincible god fighting, like, level 1 wolves. Because you don't need them to be, like, I'm editing something real quick. You don't want them to be able to rip through, like, any boss that pops up for, like, the next hour, because that'll become, like, stagnant. And that's why I enjoy The Witcher. I still think it's dumb with the swords. I feel like there are better ways you could say, just say, like, they're enchanted.
Yeah.
If there were a bit more of, like, a magical aspect, and Geralt had to, like, you know, find some of these swords and, like, disenchant them once he, like, gets a certain thing, and then he can use this, like, you know, mighty sword, like, by the powers of Grayskull. I get why they do it, but it's not something I enjoy when I have, like, 6 swords on me that all have
amazing
red X's on them. Like, I'm literally 1 level below, but I can't use any of these nice new swords, and I don't have any sort of, like, you know, toolkits to fix my other swords.
Right.
And all of them are, like, at 20%.
Have you played Kingdom Come Deliverance?
No.
No? Okay, they have a mechanic that I sort of enjoy. So you can get a sword, and it'll be a level. And you can have a sword that's a lot better than yours. It's the same sword, but it's a lot better than yours for some reason. And you can use it, but you use it poorly. And you start out with a horrible swordsman. You can barely fight anyone. You have to. That's the whole trope of the game. You have to learn how to do anything you want. It doesn't really execute well, but I want to be able to still use it, just maybe not as well. I mean, it doesn't really make sense if I have the same exact steel sword, but this one is just a higher level, and it's just like, what am I doing? But it's better than level locking a weapon, I think. And I really hope they don't do that in Cyberpunk. I don't want them, like, level locking a rocket launcher or something like that.
Okay. So, we're kind of transitioning into the end of this conversation. I have 2 main things. The first one is, do you think after CD Projekt Red is, like, done with, like, the whole Cyberpunk, like, you know, getting it out, releasing it, DLC and sort of stuff, do you think they will go back to The Witcher and do something with Ciri?
Yes.
Because in all of the endings, Ciri could or is definitely still alive.
I 100% believe it, because I saw something people were talking about on IGN and a few other outlets, is that in an interview they were talking to some of the creators from CD Projekt Red, and they said, we will not be following the story of Geralt anymore, but there will be a Witcher 4.
So it's definitely going to be Ciri.
I'd hope so.
I mean, you could just do, like, a random Witcher.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Would it be interesting to go through the Witcher trials?
I want to... That would really be cool.
Yeah.
But I do want to play as Ciri, because every time...
She was so cool.
I didn't like the transition... Like, the story-wise, I didn't like that it made me go and play as Ciri, but I enjoyed playing as Ciri. I felt like, narratively, it didn't work that well. Like, cutting back to see this whole thing, you could have shown me cutscenes of that. But on the flip side, playing as Ciri is so fun, because she can just, like, teleport around in, like...
Oh, it's so fun.
You know, just triangles and stuff.
Yeah.
It, like... Her magic stuff was really fun. So if you, like, get her and you give her, like, 8 different signs. So she has like the main signs: Axie, Ard,
Quen.
Quen is my baby. I Quen it up all the time. All of my armor has like greater glyphs of Quen. I make sure my armors are things that give me Quen boosts. My swords give me Quen boosts. Quen was my thing because I got to a point where like a level 24 werewolf hit me one time at like about 2/3 of its health, and I had Quen on, and it hit me 3 times in a row before the Quen shield actually broke, and it broke, and the werewolf fucking died.
See, like, that is just great. Like, I love that mechanic that you can upgrade your magic and everything.
I enjoyed a lot of the sign usage.
It's really confusing.
I liked Ard. Is it Ard or Axie? One of those two.
Ard's the telekinetic blast and Axie's the mind control.
Yes. Where I upgraded the Axie before I did any of the Quen in my playthroughs, because I wanted the dialogue options where I could just be like, fucking tell me. And I like the fact because it surprised me so much when I got into a conversation and I did that, and the first time that it didn't work because someone else around was dude,
just fucking mind controlled him.
I think there was one instance where I did that and like it didn't work on the person, or they're like, Jedi mind tricks don't work on me, bitch. But that was like the sign mechanics are probably one of the most interesting things that The Witcher has, on top of like the story and the graphics and all that. I enjoy the sword combat.
It's pretty minimal though. It's just
it's better than like Assassin's Creed, but it reminds. Well, that's like the closest thing you have.
Yeah.
Like, person with 2 swords fighting in like a weird fantasy-esque historical kind of thing.
I mean, it's just slash,
but
dodge roll or block.
Did you ever upgrade your fast attack stuff to where it gave you the thing where if you hit like the fast attack button a couple times and then you held it, Geralt would start doing like a Jedi spinning his sword around?
No, I never got that.
You can hold the button down and Geralt will spin his sword around for 30 seconds, or it's until like the bar runs out for your signs and stamina. He will spin that sword until that bar runs out, and if anyone runs up, either that's an immediate block or an immediate hit.
Jeez.
Yes.
So that's when they get into it. Like with
I had a Geralt at one point where my fast attacks were stronger than my strong attacks.
Mm-hmm. Well, like they tried to stay true to the source material. They wanted, because Geralt like pirouettes for every fight. Mm-hmm. Like, so I saw this YouTuber and he was talking about the impracticality of doing a triple twirl backflip after every sword strike, but they got it really well. Mm-hmm. And just every single move that he did, when you went into those animations, like the executions, they looked great. And I like the fast attacks always looked really well, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, we've talked about the I'll probably like move that back to be more in our discussion,
right,
and have the Siri thing up here. Last thing, where would you probably put this game in like the rankings of like games that you played? Because I would say it's like a solid 8 out of 10.
I'd say it's a solid 9. Witcher 3?
Witcher 3, I'd say it's
solid.
Probably 8.5 maybe if it were like a good day. But I'm sticking somewhere in 8.5 range, just because I'm more strict. And I feel like my favorite, the games that I would give like a 10 or like a really high 9 are just like completely different from this. They're on like different ends of like what the game really is.
Yeah.
So it's not any fault to like The Witcher, for it's an incredible game with some of like the most in-depth story stuff ever, but it can be weird with the way that some of the story works and how long it is, and especially those endings. Mm-hmm. Like 2 of those endings are not really fulfilling in the long run, especially with how many hours I put into both of my playthroughs.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So it was whatever, really, in terms of that. But as a whole, gameplay-wise, mechanic-wise, most of the story-wise, I would say it gets up there in terms of like things I've played. So I would give it an 8.
Right. One thing I want to ask really quick: what do you just from the gameplay we saw of Cyberpunk? What would you give that on a grading scale, like A, B, C?
Are you talking like how would I grade it in terms of like demos that are showing off stuff, or just like
that, and what your first impression was, like how good the gameplay mechanics looked, disregarding the fact that it was a pre-alpha thing where things are subject to change.
9.5 out of 10. Until I can get my hands on it, everything I saw in that demo has me absolutely moist. The only 10 out of 10 I would give to a demo is the Doom Eternal demo,
right,
where they let that one intern run ham for 5 minutes, and he's flying around this like demon hellscape with his little grappling hook shotgun. That is literally the craziest demo I have ever seen.
It was really well put together.
It is unmatched in just like how visceral it feels. Like, it made me feel like I was playing Doom 2016 again with how fucking wild it was. And the new that's the section of gameplay for Doom Eternal where the Doomslayer runs up to like the little like what are they called? They're like infected workers, and he runs up to it, and it's like, and he
bashes his head in,
clonks this motherfucker's head into his rib cage, and he's just like, that whole, I like fell out of my chair watching that because it was making me laugh, but it was so fucking wild. That's just a thing you could just bash their head directly into their rib cage. That is a 10 out of 10 demo.
Oh yeah.
But yes, back to the task at hand. Cyberpunk looks super fucking good, and I have faith in CD Projekt Red to make an interwoven story in a giant open world that'll have like risks and multiple like dialogue options and stuff that drastically affect how this game is going to play out for you. I hope that the story ties in to the ending that you get, and the choice, like the big story shifts that happen better than they did in The Witcher, because the only really big ones are like the biggest decision I think is when you choose between like letting Triss leave Novigrad and picking Yennefer or not. Like, that's like probably the biggest thing.
Big choice, but it seems like they're going in the direction of every choice you make matters.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it. That's everything.
Call it a wrap?
Probably. Where can people find you, Brandon?
For?
This is a podcast thing. I'll start. You can find me on Twitter at Lobhart2201. That's LABHART 2201. And you can find me on Instagram at that same thing. And if you find me on Facebook, that's good of you, but you're weird. You can find Brandon at...
I only have an Instagram and a Snapchat. I will not give up my Snapchat currently, though. The Instagram is Brandon.Bowman, 2 N's. It's BRANDON BOWMANN. I'm a loser. I don't have Twitter.
Make a Twitter, Brandon.
I don't want... It's confusing and it's scary.
We're going to have to make an official Twitter for our fucking thing. Our name. The Product Placement Podcast. Where the name has nothing to do with it. We just thought of a good name and we can call it P3. So we're corporate shills. We know about branding. We know what to do. So thank y'all for listening. The music is now going to play, indicating that the episode is over, and then another voiceover will probably jump in at some point, talking about other stuff over the music. So yeah, this is a wrap. Good night. Goodbye.
Good luck.
Merry Christmas.